All right, welcome to the Norfolk Planning Board for September 18th, 2014. Not starting our hearings until 7:45, so until that point, we'll go over some new and old business. So there's one here with the Toils and Farm that's being postponed till the next meeting? Okay, that doesn't say it's postponed till today.
You know how country. Yeah.
And have they been informed that we're not releasing any lots until their illegal sign is gone?
Ray had a discussion today.
I spoke with,
Mark Mastriani.
I've got the other mark on my mind.
Mark and Mark?
Yeah.
Marky Mark.
There's too many marks. But I spoke to him, I told him that, that this was an issue that the planning board had in their sites for a number of years, it sounds like. And,
Well, the last time they were in here,
yeah,
we asked them, what about the sign? They said, oh, yeah, and I said, it's gonna be required to be gone before any more lots are released. So I'm surprised that they're asking for them while the sign's still up.
yeah, when I spoke to Mark, he indicated that they were thinking that the signs could go away prior to the town accepting or after the town accepts the roads. I said, well, let's talk about that at the next planning board meeting, if that's how you feel, because I don't know what happened, and, obviously you guys do.
Yeah, a lot of times if you don't accept it if you don't have it removed until that late in the game, they don't happen to get removed.
Absolutely.
So it's set in the stone wall, right?
It's set on a fence on top of a stone wall. But it was brought to their attention as soon as it went up, because before it went up, when they were putting the stone wall in, I drove by and I said to him when I came into the meeting, I said, that's not designed for a sign, is it? And they said, oh, no, that's against the zoning. So next thing you know, a sign shows up in there.
It looks like, there's 60-foot right-of-way, abuts private property, which means there would be no place to put the sign unless they had a easement from the abutters. Looks pretty tight. So,
Sandy Knoll Estates 2. So this is okay to Sandy Knoll. Is there anything that we have to keep our eye on at Sandy Knoll?
I did receive a complaint a couple of weeks ago about work going on over there. I guess it was happened on a Saturday. The neighbor had left a message in my office. I called. I told them to, please let us know if there is work going on that's not supposed to be going on there. And that person had been concerned because of the talk about the gravel operation and how that was supposed to be panning out, so they were concerned.
they weren't supposed to be doing any work there,
Correct.
and they are?
I don't know. I didn't see any work done on the Norfolk side. They may have been working on the Franklin side, and that's what she heard.
I did reach out to the developer to ask when I heard about the complaint, and he assured me that all the work was taking place in Franklin.
It's easy enough to see.
We can't verify that, but
You can go take a look and see if the dirt's been moved.
Bob McGee did take a ride. It was the Friday, I think, when we weren't here.
Yes, he did. He didn't see anything.
They weren't working at that point, so he couldn't verify either.
Now, they have to have a new earth removal permit, correct?
For each lot.
We are
For each lot.
requiring for each lot, correct, prior to building permits.
Now, do we have to release them before we can open an earth removal permit? Do we have to release those lots?
That's a good question.
I don't think so.
Because a lot of the material on the lots is from the subdivision process that was never removed.
The covenant precludes a building permit or sale, but I don't think it necessarily precludes earth removal.
Well, you may want to prompt him that he may want to get his earth removal permit.
Permits for the lots.
Maybe we can get it done before this winter.
would that happen before we release lots, or?
I'd rather have the hearings before we release the lots. Does anyone see a downside to that?
With the 10-year history, no. No.
We can go forward and sign our tripartite agreement so that they can get the road bonded, is that?
Yep, that's okay, yep.
Well, there's no need to get the road bonded if there's no lot releases. So I would hold off on signing it until it was done. Yeah, you know.
All right.
We'll let them know.
Set a public hearing date for uniform street numbering system.
So, we had decided, Steve, we've got to have a public hearing for zoning, fall town meeting zoning.
Uh-huh.
So we had talked about perhaps incorporating a public hearing for the street numbering policies at the same time.
Did you send out a copy of that? I don't think I got it. Is there a new policy?
I got you one, I think I left all my information in the office.
There should be a copy, you should have received one anyway. but
An
we'll get
email
one out.
copy?
Yeah, you should have received one. but
I
I'm
don't
sure you
think,
get
I don't
one.
think I got an email copy on that one.
Probably when you weren't feeling well, so.
Yeah.
So the meeting's, public hearing's October 28th?
Well, I was just they put that out there. Jeff is not, I had tentatively said the 21st, but Jeff has a Board of Selectmen meeting. So.
And what day is the town here, town meeting?
Is November 18th, so that still gives us 4 weeks.
No, what other zoning articles ended up
Not too
being
much.
put on the,
Well,
because
they're-
I remember we were talking about a couple of things,
They're
but
in-
they were
they're
all
in here.
pulled off.
They're in here.
Oh, they're in here?
Yep, I made you a copy of the draft.
One is medical marijuana, and one is kennels.
All right.
A couple by Bob Bullock to rearrange things.
Right, you know, we got popcorn.
All right. Looks to me as though it's 7:45. So, Winding Hollow?
Maybe they decided not to come.
No, he's here. Rick is here.
Oh, okay.
somewhere.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna go grab him. Okay.
What's that?
You weren't here, but Wendy Howard, this is really open space subdivision because it wasn't really the criteria if they had any publicly accessed open space.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a.
That's a requirement.
Well, if you look at
Mel, how are
the
you?
theory, the first paragraph of an open space,
My easel is over there,
it doesn't need
Rick.
any of them, they're not doing much of anything. So I think this, we talked about last time at the convention. Yeah, you know,
Did they bring in a conventional?
they had to just to get the extra lot for the open space, so.
Isn't there a limit as to how many houses you can put on a cul-de-sac?
Yes, and that's limited by the length and breadth. And if you have 150-foot frontage, then you can end up with maybe 6. you
Oh.
know?
I thought it said no more than.
No, it's by
Isn't there a
frontage.
restriction on the number of houses on a cul-de-sac? Isn't it like no more than 7 or something like that in there?
Thank you.
See, you know,
I have done the work.
see this, on this plan, I think if the lots on the cul-de-sac are 1 or 2 and
Oh,
There was a 7 lot.
7.
it is a 7-lot limit?
That would probably multiply out to the 150 frontage, the smallest frontage we have, times the 500 feet, right?
Okay, so this is a continuation of the Winding Hollow preliminary subdivision hearing.
Well, remember they were gonna
So if you want to identify yourself
location for
Uh,
town
f-
hall
Yeah, that's out.
for your audience,
right here. So Rick Goodrow. Right, it's over in the trout farm.
They're not receptive at all.
Right. Property illustrated.
Good evening, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants here this evening with Tom DePlacido, the owner of the property. Just an update from the last meeting we had with the board. Tom had given the DPW permission to pursue the rear portion of this site for a municipal well, and to give them permission to do testing that would be necessary for that. At that time, the board had given us an extension from the hearing process to allow the DPW to pursue that. We are in receipt of a letter from Mr. McGee, dated, I believe, September 16th, outlining what's transpired from that time. And in summation of that letter, basically, the DPW has chosen at this time not to pursue the site for a municipal well, but would prefer some type of A&R configuration so that it could possibly be revisited in the future. So we wanted to take tonight to come in and update the board as to what's been going on, and then get some input from the board as to their feelings on the letter and the proposal.
So no one's seen this before?
We saw it.
Oh, you saw this one?
Yeah, we saw
I
this
thought it
one.
was a cul-de-sac that you had
Well, we
seen.
saw
We
the...
saw that too.
We
That
saw
was-
that.
We
I
had-
saw 3 different plans or so.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's without the well.
This was the least favorable plan, but we were gonna,
but this has
Listen
the
to it.
land for the well
Yes.
associated with it.
but right now they've abandoned that, correct?
Correct.
For what reason?
Um,
The fishing club was hostile towards giving any land
Yes,
and was gonna fight any type of taking, et cetera.
that seemed to be one concern from the letter, yes.
Depends on whether you see that changing down the road, which I don't,
I don't see that
that's not
changing.
gonna change.
How much encroachment is on the trout club?
The white part of this,
Small portion here and then a much larger portion.
They need a-
Oh,
they
that
need a
whole
400
stuff.
foot,
Oh, okay.
Is it a 400-foot diameter they need?
They need to control a 400-foot diameter
Diameter,
around the way,
yeah.
oh well. 400-foot radius, excuse me,
That's why
800-foot
I asked. Yeah,
diameter.
that's worse than,
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
Old geography.
well, when we were talking about this, it strikes me, and I recall, there was going to need to be an access to the well site. And there was also some discussion about how to provide driveway access to these lots, particularly on the sloping curved area around the corner there. And there was a discussion about maybe we could punch a small road through, which would provide access, and also possibly put a road on the inside of the 400-foot radius to provide driveways for some of the lots.
Something up in that vicinity there, you
Yeah,
thinking?
and then to run a road,
Along the back?
yeah, along the back for driveways for some of the lots. That was one possibility.
I think we all agreed that the straight cul-de-sac was probably the best setup as far as sight distance go. And then if you had the straight cul-de-sac, Rick, couldn't you also have an A&R lot to the right of the cul-de-sac, 1 or 2?
Yes,
You had that plan?
I have,
But you don't want those as A and Rs on the
Precisely.
left-hand
That
side.
was the point, yeah. Yeah.
it's the open space. Just bear with me for a second. Oh, actually, it's on the back of this one. That was what we had
Right.
proposed, which was basically 9 lots serviced by one single cul-de-sac.
Right.
It's cul-de-sac entering in the vicinity of where the stone pillar is, an existing driveway is now, to give everyone a point of reference. And that would be, a situation where we could put 9 lots in an open space configuration, maximize the open space around the abutters, around the trout club to the rear.
Is that a 500-foot cul-de-sac, Rick?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
What is that bylaw about the 7, Gino?
It's a regulation, planning board regulation.
Planning board regulation.
Which is what?
Maximum 7 lots.
7 lots.
Cul-de-sac.
So
So you want a waiver on that?
we
If you
could,
use- if you
we
use
could
this one?
request a waiver if the board would prefer something along, this line as
Sure.
opposed to the other. And then we have, in talking with Tom, we do have slightly different proposal, which would be a little shorter cul-de-sac, 7 lots, open space lots on that, and then 2 A&R lots, basically buttressing both ends.
Well, the problem is that lot over there,
Right,
the one on
right.
the left-hand side, that, I can't even imagine how hard it would be to see
Well,
coming out of that driveway.
There's a lot of cuts that have to be
Yeah,
taken.
exactly. There would be a lot of earthwork associated with that A&R lot.
The left-hand lot is a consideration, but having been out there, I think, you know, there really needs to be some off-site improvements here to the existing roadway. That corner there in terms of cutting it back a bit to improve sight distance, but there are fundamentally both horizontal and vertical sight distance problems all along that frontage.
Yeah,
I don't know that they'd be hugely expensive to fix, but hopefully as part of the subdivision approval process, the economics would fall out such that some off-site improvements could be done. I think it's really needed. I don't think they're that expensive to do, but hopefully that's something the board could consider and sort of keep in mind. That left-hand corner is the worst of them, but there are other problems all the way along that segment of roadway there, so.
Why would you not take that left-hand lot and ask for a waiver and put it up at the end of this cul-de-sac?
how about just an estate lot? You can get a single estate lot in here. Just make an estate lot, and then you don't need all that frontage and everything out along the roadway, because you have enough land there for an estate lot, right?
Sure,
Does
but,
that seem reasonable to you?
yes, I mean, if the board would consider a waiver to allow 9 lots, we'd have one access point.
Well, you'd have 8 in there instead of 9, because you'd still have the A and R in the front, right?
No, this would have 9 open
Well,
space lots.
there's one down there. That one down
Correct.
there has one of the,
Correct. This has an A&R lot here and here.
right, you can keep the A and R over there, and
Okay.
then use that other configuration that you've already got and create an estate lot in there, right? I'm not sure how the waiver would go on the 7 to 9, but it may be a little more acceptable if it's 8, if you would be allowed it, but because of sight distances and everything, would rather not have it there.
Well, that's, what we kind of want to
Yeah.
get some feedback on, so we
You
can,
still get the 9 lots if the open space permit isn't allowed?
the open space one,
You get the bonus lot with the open space, correct?
if we hit 10 lots, we would, yeah. It's 10%,
Okay.
so 10% of
Whether
9.
it's an open space plan or not, you get the same number of lots.
We get 9 lots, correct. Yep.
Oh, so I hadn't seen the conventional, so the conventional, you couldn't get 9 and then an extra?
No,
Oh,
But it would also trigger the affordable housing.
oh,
So the extra
yeah,
one would
yeah.
be, if you just rate at 10, it's not going to be really worth it.
Well, he wants to voluntarily put in an affordable housing.
How does the grading work with that? There's no topo on that. How does the grading work?
this,
Yeah,
actually,
for the road and then the lots.
It's
right?
pretty flat up
Yeah,
there,
if I
isn't
may.
it? Until it
So
rises up
The grade
over
of that road
there.
is going to be somewhat level?
yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman, if you
Yep,
look closely, Mr. Weddleton, you can see the topography. So this is the 200 contour, I believe, right here. So this is all flat.
Flat.
And then there's a small depression here, and you can see the slope starting to take off here. You can see the 10-foot
And the
contours.
site problem is over here in this corner here.
Correct. So we've
How high
maxed-
is that about? What's the elevation of that corner as compared to the road? The road's 158. Does that peak at, what, 20 feet higher?
Oh, no, it's
pretty,
higher than that.
it's pretty high.
Yeah.
If you ever go out there, it's
Yeah, it
just,
is.
Yeah.
You've got 30 feet of road,
Does
of
it
land
ha-
above you.
The grade here is about 144, and you're up to elevation 200 to 202, to the high point.
So basically, there's not many grading issues with the cul-de-sac plan,
No.
which is good. Tom, if they were granted an earth removal permit to help the sight distance on that corner by removing some of that and grading it so that there's a better sight distance coming down? Would that make it overall a little bit more safer as you're coming down that street or coming up?
Oh, yeah, that's one of the key problems.
That's
Plus-
something interest you, Tom, if we gave you a earth removal permit? I don't know what materials in that corner, but
It, I know one of the other requirements that will probably trigger some type of removal there is, if you're looking to put sidewalks or something along Old Grove Street as well. And just, I mean, everybody's seeing the steepness of that slope, to try to get a sidewalk that's a few feet back, you know, some type of grass strip or something back from the street. Yeah, I mean, you'd have to do some kind of earth removal there as well for that, so I think to improve the sight distance and do a sidewalk, I think, that would be necessary with everything, and I think it's good enough material, most definitely, that I think.
Reuse it?
Remove it.
Mhm.
The biggest concern would be it's probably very clean, and just wants to keep running, once you disturb it, you know, it's like,
what's it, sand?
yeah, well, it's not sand, but it's sandy, but it's got a lot of stone in it, but it's very clean, there's not a lot of clay, so it just keeps falling.
Because I was thinking if you push that grade back enough to create a sight distance on both sides of the bend, and then just you can slope it up sharply from there back, just to make the sight distance better on both angles. That would help the overall conditions of that whole area, you know, whether your project went through or not. Because the project itself seems to be pretty straightforward as far as the grades go, et cetera. And I think that setup there doesn't create too much extra to the sight distance issues, does it, Tom?
I don't exactly know what the site distance is there. I think if it's by the pillars, it's maybe one of the better places.
Yes.
And there's no A&R lots. They're both going to be driveways off of that side road.
On that one, that's correct.
On this one.
On
yeah.
this one here, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I guess to summarize, you could do two things. You could create all the driveways off of a new roadway,
Exactly.
and you could do some
Mitigation there.
mitigation work here to improve sight distance. And Bob McGee also had requested us looking at sidewalks for connectivity from 115 to the site.
Well, actually, the subdivision plans call for you to put 2 sidewalks in.
Yes.
Maybe something could be addressed as far as putting a sidewalk on one side of the new road and taking the rest of that sidewalk and putting it on the main street.
On Holbrook Street? Yeah.
Same distance, but yeah.
Let me,
You know, country.
just think it outside the box for just a
Just thinking outside the box for a minute, and my name's Tom DePlacido, by the way, the owner of the land and developer. And I do own some land directly across the street. I have to take a little closer look at it. But as you wind your way down Holbrook Street towards 115 here, I mean, there's really not much room for connectivity out to 115. But I do control a piece of property over here, and we'd have to look much closer at it, wetlands buffers and things like that, but it does have uplands on it. But if there was a way to have a, cross-country walkway through this to connect down to 115.
And where was the bus stop on that road? Didn't one of the neighbors talk about a bus stop and the kids walking?
She said they don't go down
They don't,
Holbrook,
they
they
go over
stop at that,
Pond
that,
view over there.
what's that crossroad? Yeah,
So is that the bus stop?
yeah,
Yeah.
you have
So-
to walk to that.
So I guess if you can get connectivity along your parcel, that helps all of the folks from across the street, along with the new ones, all to get to the bus stop safely.
Well,
I think that's what one of the neighbors was talking about.
Yes, it is, except that they were asking for some mitigation so they could bring the bus and stop it somewhere down by the cul-de-sac, or maybe even go in the cul-de-sac. So the kids who live along this side over here wouldn't have to walk on that street. Would be just crossing the street instead of walking along it.
Either way, the sidewalk along the property on both sides would be a big help,
Yes,
no
it
matter
would.
where they put the bus stop.
Yes, it would.
So just so I understand, I mean, if we could run the sidewalk down like this in here so that any of these homes would be able to cross the street and walk on the sidewalk up like that, and maybe they'd have a bus stop at the end of the cul-de-sac or something. I mean, we could definitely look into that and things. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, would the board want to continue this way too or something?
Well, it's required that your frontage has to have a sidewalk on.
Okay.
That would take the land right now and give you the lots that you're looking for and make the whole, to me, it would make the whole area generally more safe.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would. hmm I mean, I'd be in favor of something like that and cleaning that up and things.
But the whole issue of trying to have a crossing the road further down and having a sort of a cross-country path, because this would end up at the same intersection that it would be Holbrook on the other side, where Pin Oaks is, and
That's probably about a quarter to a half mile down,
Yeah.
down 115. It's not directly into that.
oh, it isn't. It
Yeah.
isn't right there. Oh,
No,
okay.
this one is, it's actually the Holbrook Street before the village at River's Edge.
Oh.
And then there's about a,
Oh, that's right. They sort of merged together for a while, and
it's the craziest thing to try to
Yeah.
give directions to people, because Holbrook Street's on actually 3 different streets there. But it was just a thought, I mean, I'd look into it on my own about maybe just doing something through here to connect these neighborhoods.
Sure.
right. There's nothing up along this side over here that would be there's a sidewalk there already, isn't there?
Not that I'm aware of.
No,
Is
there's
that Pondview?
no up out on 115. I thought.
Who has a sidewalk?
Right.
The complete frontage of the village of River's Edge has sidewalks.
There's nothing on,
Yeah, but there's nothing on 115
Oh.
coming down. It stops probably up by about Overly, if I'm thinking correctly.
Well, Mr. DePlacido is trying to be a responsible developer and considering the public interest and stuff, but a couple of things about that path that popped to mind. Number one, when you cross the street there, it would be essentially a mid-block crossing in a location where the sight distance is very
Right.
poor. So, there'd be an auto issue. And secondly, if the intent would be for school children to walk there, you have to be concerned that, the visibility, school children should always be visible from a public street, so you'd sort of have to really clear that area out. I don't know how the topography would go, but it's a great idea. It's an idea, but, there may be some technical issues with it.
No, I was looking for feedback, I was just trying to create some connectivity, but that's all great input.
Where it comes out, on 115, are you close to where it has a sidewalk? Are you still at a point where it has no
Probably
sidewalk?
within a few hundred feet. Once again, I really have to look at
Yeah.
everything. I mean, it may not even be able to be done, but
Yeah.
I just wanted to throw it out there for some input and things to discuss about it.
Worth a look.
Yeah, but we're going to have to discuss that whole issue about the 9 lots on a cul-de-sac. That I don't remember us ever waiving that. Do you remember us ever waiving a 9 lots?
The reason I could see for waiving is because those 2 lots in the front could be A&R lots.
They are doable. They're doable.
And
yeah.
this actually is a benefit for the town, having those not A&R lots and coming off the side road. So to me, if we were to consider a waiver of that rule, then I think there's a definite benefit for doing that, aside from just giving somebody an extra lot in a cul-de-sac.
Mr. Chairman, I believe it was waived on Mill River Heights, off of Myrtle Street, opposite Medway. There
Was it for the same
That's
reason that we
That's
didn't
right.
want the A&R?
Remember they had the second means of egress
Right.
out to Miller Street,
That's right.
but there were no houses, no lots on it, so you agreed to waive building that, which resulted in more than 7 on that street. That's right, I remember now.
Well, there was another reason for not constructing that roadway also, but it was,
Turtles.
yeah. All right. Anybody else have any other questions here? Michelle?
Sorry, I'm a little late, so
Oh,
just
well,
assume you asked all the good ones.
yeah. Anyone from the public have any questions or comments about this subdivision here? Yes.
My name is Jerry Bloom, and
Up, there's a microphone.
I am a Jerry Bloom. I'm a direct abutter. I live at 30 Holbrook Street. And the
Is that at
area...
the corner of Pondview?
That's the corner of Pondview, yes. And, you know, speaking of sidewalks, they took my land to build that sidewalk when they built the development at Evergreen Road, and I'd really would not be happy seeing a sidewalk go in front of my house. I'm extremely concerned about, I've owned my house for 30 years now, and I'm really concerned about the character of Holbrook Street. It's a country road. We bought intentionally to live on a country road, and Tom built the houses across the street from us, and at the time that he built that, we had talked about a cul-de-sac going in there across the street, and he had talked at that time about 7 houses. And the area in question, I walk my dogs every day, and it's gotten to the point where I've had to buy a yellow vest, a reflective vest, so that I don't get killed walking around that curve. So I really want you to be cautious about driveways on that part of the street, because...
Well, that's why we're looking at this one.
Yeah, I
Where
understand.
do you live, sir? Do you live on the side of this
Right
proposed
there.
development? Right there,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, yep.
So your house
exactly.
faces Pondview?
No, my house faces Holbrook Street.
Okay, I understand your point now.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
okay, so anyways, I'm concerned about the character of the
Yeah,
country
fine.
road, I'm concerned about the trees, I'm really concerned now when you're talking about earth removal, and because I can't imagine how fast cars will go around that curve if it's wide open versus, you know, they come up there and they have to hit their brakes. They call that Suicide Hill, they don't call it that for nothing. There have been many accidents. There have been many accidents right at Pondview Road where people coming out from Pondview onto Holbrook Street because they can't see to the left. And
I think creating a better sight distance myself could only help the situation, not make it more
yeah, that's
unsafe.
fine.
And a
I think all of the houses being off of the street, though, on a cul-de-sac would be better for safety than houses exiting onto Holbrook Street.
You know, if this ends up not being an open space subdivision, there's a lot of extra land behind those lots. Maybe Mr. De Placido might coordinate something with you where you're taking some of the land for sidewalk, maybe giving a little piece in the back.
Well, there wouldn't be any taking for the sidewalks, because that would be,
So that's all in
that would
town
be
land?
right of way. That would be in the town's right of way anyway.
All right, he was saying that he was taking land before.
A lot of people
Yeah,
think it's being
They took
taken.
it, and then they gave it
Did-
back to me with a sidewalk on it.
Well, did they actually take the land, or did they just use their right of
I had
way?
to sign a release for the time,
Yeah.
for them
Do you
to put a
own up to
sidewalk.
Holbrook Street, sir? Or do you?
Pardon me?
Do you own right up to the actual paved Holbrook Street?
I do, yeah.
Okay, so there would be a taking.
Well, we don't know that for a fact.
Okay.
Yeah, and the second thing I want to talk about is the school buses. It's kind of a joke with me in school buses and the kids. I have 4 kids that went through the school system, and the school bus currently is at the corner of Holbrook Street and Pondview Road. And you've got to come by there sometime when there's snow and see what the town does. They actually come with their plows, and they plow all of the snow and come with, you know, backhoes and pile it up on the school bus. So the kids have to stand on the street. It's a laughing joke in our neighborhood how the kids can't even stand on the sidewalk because that's where they put the snow.
So you'd be in favor of putting the bus stop in the cul-de-sac?
That would be the wisest thing, I think, for safety of the kids, yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I know Tom builds a nice house.
All right. Anybody else? Okay, you've got our comments, right? You think you know which way the board tends to be leaning, right? This is your preliminary, right?
Yes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this option here with the 9 seems to be the direction we should pursue.
We have to have easily defendable rationale for doing it that way, since we have a rule that says that we can't have more than 7 on a cul-de-sac. But for safety reasons, this probably works out better.
Okay.
you agree with that one?
I agree,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Agree with that one, yeah.
As far as open space, you think this qualifies under our bylaw for an open space plan?
Well, it does. I mean, all the dark green is the open space, right?
Correct.
How
You
is
may
it
want to
acc-
make sure that that little corner up there gets,
But how is it accessible to the public?
out this whole front section. That's all open space on the front here.
Right,
You
the
can just
dark
walk
green,
around.
So you
they Come
can.
off the
Yeah.
cul-de-sac. It's
Probably not
access.
gonna walk around to the left where it's up 30 feet.
But some people may love doing that.
Conservation agent wasn't
What can I
too
say?
fond of it. Yeah.
But you have to have access over on that side over
Does
there
that, does
also.
that green point go all the way to the edge of the property?
Yeah, roughly. I mean, we'd certainly look at squaring that off a
Yeah,
little more and
yeah.
pulling it away from the buffer zone. This was just something we had put together quickly for last time. And now that we have the DPW's comments, kind of wanted to come in and see which way to focus our efforts.
Did we get the DPW comments?
I don't know if we did we?
I don't remember seeing-
Do we
I
have
don't see any.
DPW comments?
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't put them in your packet.
Oh. But we have some.
That's the letter he quoted, I think.
It might be helpful.
Yes.
We don't trust anything unless we can see it.
Well, we each have a different way of interpreting it, right?
Yeah, yeah, true. Put 5 lawyers in a room, you get 5 opinions.
It's pretty extensive.
It is. I'll get a copy from Betsy. I'll have her
Keep it.
email
I
it
have,
to
I
you.
have an
Thanks.
electronic copy, so. You want it, Steve? Well,
No, it's all right. I'll have Betsy email it to me. Thanks. So, you've heard all our comments.
yes.
You want to come back?
Going through this process for the first time, which is preliminary subdivision and special permit for the open space, what is the next step? I mean, do we design an open space subdivision sort of now, and then?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
And then you'll have a preliminary decision, and then you'll use the preliminary decision, because the preliminary decision will tell you what you have to put into your definitive plan.
Okay. And then, so the preliminary decision,
It goes a lot smoother on the definitive end if you've already covered everything on the preliminary side.
so this concept here, we clean it up, make sure it works, come back, answer some of the questions. It's not really the full-blown.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I was.
Like all the removal over on the side and everything, we know that you're going to be doing it, but you won't have to give us all the data until you come back with the final.
We should look at what we have to do to site distance.
Right.
I'd look at that at a preliminary level just to make sure there's something, if you identify something you think you can't do, that's probably
Right.
something to talk about.
Good point. Thank you.
Okay. When would you like to,
Do we have a next meeting?
I don't see one on here.
I don't think we made a next one. Right, we don't have a next meeting.
We don't have it scheduled. I put out October 7th and 28th as potential dates.
All right. Okay, I'm all set. For either of those, what day would you guys like?
7th.
Both work for me.
The 7th?
Probably need to do both.
Really?
Yeah, we need to do a public hearing for the zoning articles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Do it all on the 28th.
How about just the 28th?
Just the 28th? Did you want to move ahead at any particular
Lightning speed?
speed, or is the 28th okay with you?
The 28th of October?
Yeah. We can do the 7th.
Nah, that's too quick.
That's too quick.
Too quick.
Okay, so it looks like it's the 28th.
Is that a Tuesday?
It is.
It is.
You're grimacing.
I'm thinking.
It's about
7th just doesn't work.
about 5 weeks, 28th.
Yeah.
Okay.
That should give us plenty of time to get something together and get it to the town, so everyone has an opportunity to look at it.
So this hearing is continued to Tuesday, October 28th at 7:30 PM.
So moved? Right, just-
Second.
No,
Oh, you just
no,
said it?
yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Tom, it might be a good idea to speak with Bob McGee. If you're going to be doing sidewalk improvements, he may want to join in, and if the town has any other improvements they could do at the same time, he may want to jump in and do those at the same time while it's being disturbed. Not to say he will, but might not be hurt to ask him.
Good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Betsy, while we're talking about meeting times, are there other issues that are going to compel us to meet on the 7th? And if so,
None that I can think of.
we should book it now, while it's still available.
I can't think of any reason why we would need to meet.
Okay?
Okay, we're a little after 8, so we can have our modification of a special permit for a colonial fence at 32 Pine Street. Didn't we have a hearing on this already?
I think we had a discussion.
I thought that we voted on it. Didn't we vote on that?
Well, you voted that, you agreed that it was a minor modification, but you still had questions.
Oh,
You wanted
is
to
that?
go through the legal process.
Oh, it was a long time ago. It was 6 months
Oh,
ago?
yeah, well, that's because the lawyers got involved.
I could have sworn that we already voted on
We
that.
already
That's,
came back to this point right now where we're at, where it's just we had to go and do a public hearing.
oh, that's what it was.
That's
That,
what the lawyers recommended we do, and that's what we did, and
so it was just put off for a
we
while.
just put off to go through the channels to make sure that the town had no responsibility in this decision, and it was really just the abutters, and it was a modification of a special permit for an easement for a frontage road that no longer exists.
Right.
But they did agree that even though it didn't exist, it should still be gone through the channels, eliminated and done legitimately, even though there's really nothing that's probably gonna ever transpire.
Are you planning on doing a new plan or anything, or is this, oh?
No, just taking
This is
whatever
just
you
gonna be
did, just
text.
going to the registry of
Yeah.
deeds to get this recorded.
Yeah,
That the
okay.
easement has been eliminated, and my neighbors aren't going to drive trucks or tractors or cars or anything else across my parking lot.
Should I read the public notice?
Yes?
Seems
Yes.
like I've already discussed it.
Well, no, we haven't. I just wanted to, where we were. That's what, because I had remembered what we had gone through something.
Professionally.
We're all set now.
Yeah, we're all set.
You should get kind of the
Thank
lead
you.
into the story.
Notice is hereby given that in accordance with Mass General Laws, Section 40A of the Norfolk zoning bylaws, that a public hearing will be held on Thursday, September 18, 2014, at 8 p.m. in Room 128 at the Norfolk Town Hall, 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Mass., for Brown Realty Corp., relative to a modification of a special permit and site plan to eliminate the frontage road easement located at 32 Pine Street. Site is located in the C1 zoning difference, reference assessors map 25, block 82, lot 5. The application and other information associated with this project are available for public inspection in the office of the Norfolk Planning Board during regular hours. There you go, sir.
All right. So, what documents do you have that you want to file with the courts to change? Because you're going to there's going to have to be, who is going to draft a document? Would it be his lawyer?
I would think that you'd have to do a Mylar with the frontage road taking off of your plan and have that plan recorded. That's what I would think. Because this isn't like...
That's what I was wondering
This
about.
isn't like you're putting on an easement. You're changing an actual plan for future use. And then you'd be recording the action on this permit from the planning board to go along with it.
Well, that's what was recorded, was the plan, right?
Right, so you're going to have to get a new plan with if the board approves removing the frontage road, you'd have to get a new plan done showing the elimination of the frontage road and just the remaining parcel stays as it is. That's my belief.
And record that plan,
And record the plan, yeah.
the registry.
Because I don't know how much discussion we have to have. We've discussed this.
I think we need any.
We really don't need any.
Need a
We-
procedure
as to what has to be.
Yeah, we just have to make sure that, because because what's the legal document that's required, other than just the Mylar?
It would be your decision.
Just our decision.
That's it, to go with the,
I don't even know that we need the Mylar, it's your decision, and if we have the decision, I can take the decision to the Registry of Deeds and record the decision.
Is that true?
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
just,
what I understood that we were going to do, and that's
Well,
all I would need to record.
That's what, we just want to make sure that we're all clear on this.
Well, you can record a decision. I don't know whether that's the most effective way to depict the situation. I think Mr.
the
Weddleton.
decision
I
will,
agree, it's not the
suggestion
most
that-
effective way, but I don't think, I'm really concerned as to the overall total effect of this, because it's null and void anyway. There is no frontage road, there is no easement, because the frontage road is no longer there. So if I even record a decision, I think that's enough that we're not gonna have a problem down the road.
The
The
decision-
only risk, I think, is to cloud his titles.
That's
So
what I
if
was thinking
he's
too, on the
willing
title
to.
search.
this decision is
Accept
going to
that
reference a
risk.
plan. The decision reference a plan, and you're not going to have any plan recorded.
Okay, so let me get the Mylar plan redone then.
That's what I would,
I'll bring it to
protect
the
yourself.
engineer, have it
Because
redone.
it would always go back to that original
I
plan.
agree, John, yeah. And I
You
agree
said-
what you just said about plowing the
search.
title, it would if I don't get it off.
Yeah, it's just gonna make it
correctly, so,
messy.
Yeah, let's just get the Mylar redone, get it off the plan, and then we come to another meeting.
The board signs it.
Well, you know,
You may
I
not
don't,
have, you may not have to be here,
I
but we
won't.
would need the documents.
Just bring the,
yeah,
bring the
we've
Mylar,
already
bring the new
discussed all
new
this.
plan in.
So
You know.
all we have to do is vote on it, because we've already discussed it, and we just had to know what our plan going
We should make
forward
sure
was.
that people can
And I will. I'm going to make sure of
The
that.
decision by the board is to get the new Mylar done with the easement off the plan, and get that to the board,
Right,
and you can decide at that point in time.
yes.
We can decide now.
Go ahead,
Yes, we
decide.
can. And we can even vote now.
Vote now on it.
But we have to ask if
Yeah.
there's
You know,
any comments or questions from the public? Anybody?
yeah.
No?
You
Yeah.
may need the decision, Steve.
Oh, that's
No-
true.
not
Well,
only
we
that-
don't have to, do we?
I mean, you could, in theory, you could vote it and, you know, subject to review by the chairman or something like, well, you don't even have a page to sign right now. but-
Oh, that's true. So we'll just have a
The other
decision
issue
granted,
is-
but you know what the result is going to be.
The other issue is, and nobody's going to care in this case, but the decision is supposed to be filed with the town clerk within 2 weeks of the vote. So if you voted tonight, and then the,
Oh, we're not
then
going
the
to meet for a
decision is
month.
not till the 28th, you wouldn't meet that. It probably doesn't matter, but just technically, that's an
Yeah.
issue.
So they can close the hearing though.
Yes,
and then we can-
absolutely.
They could
Decision on
vote to
28th.
direct Gino to
There's no
write a
big
favorable
rush. I'll get the
decision.
plan
That
done,
would be-
get to the engineer, and
Right.
get the new plan drafted.
Just close the
Hands
hearing
to
for
the
now.
office.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take
So
care
you
of
want to
it.
make that motion?
it's going to be a minor modification to.
It is a
both
minor
plots.
modification. We voted to make it a minor modification 6 months ago, so.
So I'll make a motion to modify the special permit and the site plan to eliminate the frontage road easement located at 32 Pine Street.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
done.
Now, do you have 5 minutes
Oh, I guess.
for an issue that I have with the water? Cottage car wash?
Oh,
Can I discuss it, or is this not the proper venue?
Well-
Put it on the agenda.
yeah, we'd have to get that onto our agenda, our agenda, because if you have an issue with them, we'd rather have them notified that that an abutter has a problem, and just to make sure that we
They've been
go,
notified.
oh, they have.
They have been notified.
But we'd like to make sure that they know that we're going to be meeting on it.
Okay.
So if you want to get on the agenda for our next meeting, which is the 28th, we could probably get you onto our next meeting at, well, we only have 7:30 scheduled, right?
I'm going to ask a question anyway before that, because some of the issues are something that should be taken care of prior to that, because we have construction site dirt and debris up against my fence and my property, and I'm trying to get it rectified and taken care of, even though the abutter told me he wouldn't do anything about it. And I've talked to the building inspector, and they told me to talk to the planning board, so that's why I'm bringing that up. I don't mind getting on the next meeting and bringing up all the issues that I have in regards to the car wash. But that's one that I'd like to get taken care of, and I don't know how to take care of it if I've already talked to the building inspector and he has no control over that.
Well,
Some people
You,
consider
okay,
it
you say it's construction debris
Well, it's
and,
site debris, with the grading, it's against my fence, it's up on the fence, it's on my property. I don't want it there. It doesn't need to be there. And a lot of it has to do with the runoff coming from the property, because I believe the grades, I don't even know if we have a site plan done on that property, or if we have a as-built done on it yet with the grades.
I don't think the as-bilt's done
There's
yet.
a- there's a
is it?
preliminary
Grades are done on
Yeah,
that
oh, okay.
as-built, and I'd like to see the grades from the final as-built to the original plan, because I don't believe they're the same.
Steve, if I may, I've been working on this issue. I've met with both parties,
Mhm.
I've spoken to both parties. And there are some things that are happening next door that will continue to happen to improve the situation. I think it's appropriate that you do, if you do want to put it on the agenda for next meeting, I think that might be an appropriate time to air all the grievances and
Mhm.
issues. But, at this point, I have been working on it, and I think they're,
And a lot of it may go away by the
May.
28th.
yeah.
If anyone wants to stop by and take a look at it and see if you
I
can...
did.
Oh, you did? Did you see anything there that
Has to be corrected,
has to be corrected
Yes.
right away?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
and the as-built shows a 192 grade on that side of the road that goes down towards the back of the lot where the catch basin is. But actually, the 192 grade does not continue to the lot line as it says. The 192 grade shaps off at a 1-to-1 slope to Mr. Brown's fence. The curbing that's there right now is inadequate, so the water runs off the side. It looks like it's pitched that way. It runs off the side, it's not caught by a curb, it doesn't get to the basin, and the debris and the gravel runs off against the fence. It looks like it has to be
I've had a
rectified
lot
by...
of erosion on the property. I've kind of let it go throughout the construction process. I had a handshake with the gentleman. That's gone by.
On the plan, there shows a dribble berm, which I've never heard of, and I'm assuming that's a real tiny berm.
If that was shown, that's temporary.
Okay,
There's actually a
because this-
bituminous berm there now.
Yeah, this needs a bigger berm, and it needs a redirection back to the catch basin, and then the dirt will stop.
Is that one of the things that you discussed?
Because of the elevations, the way it happened, it's gonna go on. It's gonna be a hardship on us. We've gotta put up a new fence on that sideline because of the elevations, okay? It's an expensive proposition for Colonial to pursue that, even though we are a fence company. But we have to do that because of those elevations right now, which I believe could have been taken care of originally by cutting one side and filling on the other side, instead of all filling on the Colonial side, and a 1-to-1 instead of a 1-to-3 grade was approved. And that created a problem just so he could get the lot size to what he needed. And kind of went along with it because we were gonna fill it onto our property and go along with a lot of things that would have improved that lot line, and that's not gonna happen anymore. So, anyway,
It doesn't look like it was loamed and seeded on that side either.
there's supposed to be, because of the 1-to-1 that was approved, some kind of a, it states it in his conditions, an embankment improvement, whatever he's supposed to do to retain everything. Well, when you see the water rushing over that berm, I know a granite berm will solve a lot of the problem. And then we'll do the fence, we're just gonna do it. I'm not going after anybody, I'm gonna just move on. But a granite berm on that side will solve a lot of my erosion problems. All I asked him to do was get the dirt off my fence and off my property.
Is it on the right-hand side?
Yes, you face his
Towards the
it's on
back?
right.
That doesn't have granite all the way down that side?
No,
No,
it
there's
needed
nothing.
granite all the way to the rear on that side because of that approval of the 1-to-1, and it would have stopped the water on the catch basin. But it's not, it's going right over that Cape Cod berm, down that steep embankment, and if you came over and saw all the erosion, I've cleaned up my property in the front and the back a number of times. And I don't feel I should be doing that. I didn't create this situation, and all I'm asking for is somebody to clean the dirt off my fence and stop the water from eroding my embankment on the side of my property. That's all I need, and then I'll be a happy camper. I'll put up my own fence. It's a $10,000 cost for me to do it from back to front. Because right now, and I know everybody says, well, I needed a 6-foot-high fence for my storage yard, so you wouldn't see in it. Now I don't have a 6-foot-high fence. States in the bylaws of the town that I need a 6-foot-high fence. I don't have that from the street. You can see right into my backyard. And not only that, the security and the privacy in my backyard has been taken away by those elevations, which are 2.5 feet higher than my elevation on that side. A little more consideration on cutting and maybe a wall on the other side, a foot, 1.5 feet would have solved a lot of problems, and I would have had a foot, 1.5 feet on my side. and a combination on that lot would have been ideal, and it would have solved the problem. But I think we can work through it, as long as he's willing to work through it. But there needs to be a better berm on that backside than just the Cape Cod.
The biggest issue is the berm should be in place before the winter comes.
That's the biggest issue, and I'd like him to remove the dirt off my property. That's no different than putting an
Yeah.
old car on somebody's property and sitting there and nobody's gonna do anything about it to take it off. I don't wanna have to be my own policeman.
Now, I don't remember the waiver on the granite for the back of that lot. Because typically, if the public drives through it, we require granite.
That-
There's
that-
nothing.
That was what was shown on the approved plan. Bit berm there.
And it's not complete.
I don't know how it, I don't remember
Yeah,
how it got
copy
there,
it.
but that's what's on the plan.
I know that would solve it, because once the granite went up on the front, where all the erosion was coming into my front parking lot, there's nothing, through the whole construction process, we lived with all the dirt that came over onto the property, and we just let it be. He knew about it, I knew about it, we cleaned it up. It's not like we're not contractors, we can't clean up the dirt on our pavement, but we did it. Once the granite went in, it solved the problem in the front area, but that's where the lower grades are. The back has a bigger grade, and there's a bigger elevation difference from the Joe Fran side to my side on that back lot, and when the water's running in heavy rain, it's just coming right over that. I've got pictures of where they put in a grass strip across it to try to stop, that just washes right down. So you know the water's coming right over the berm. And we got a lot of pictures of the dirt up against the fence on that side and our back side.
So, Ray, we know that something's going to have to be done about that berm. Have you already discussed with him something that can be done about that berm?
Yes, I have. I've already talked. with him.
You've already got recommendations
Already
on
been over
everything that he has to do?
Including removing the dirt from the fence?
Correct.
How much new berm are you recommending he put in?
He only needs a few feet, really.
A few feet?
It's not a lot that.
50 feet?
I-
Is it 50 right from where the granite stops to where the back corner is?
No, I'm not recommending replacing all the
The Cape Cod?
the Cape Cod berm.
What
no.
was on the plan, Cape Cod or granite?
Cape
Cape
Cod
Cod.
berm.
So the plan calls for Cape Cod berm. It butts up against two sloped granite curbs, which abut the actual catch basin, or the inlet basin.
Mhm.
So the Cape Cod berm, there's only a couple of feet that need to be replaced. And there
Well-
are plans, there's already plans in place to have that done.
Oh, okay.
I spoke to the owner last week, and we went through the whole site.
Do a little more than doing
See,
a little less, so that
the
it
issue
doesn't...
with the issue with the Cape Cod berm is going to be, which is a town-wide problem. The plow's going to come through there and take that berm up, and we'll be back here in the spring with the same problem. So really, to correct this so it's a permanent correction, there should be a granite down there to ensure that the water with that grading on the side gets that catch basin that's down in the back. It's all set up properly, it's just, it's not being directed in the right direction. I think a Cape Cod berm, once that plow goes through that tight area, you're gonna pick that off.
I have no idea how he's gonna plow that.
And then we're gonna be here with the same problem in the spring. So that really should be a piece of granite to ensure it gets all the way down to the basin.
Before we make that decision, we really need to invite the owner and have a discussion with the owner.
Mm-hmm.
28th.
28th.
28th, okay. Got time?
We don't have a time.
It's not a public hearing, so you don't.
No,
set
it
a time.
isn't. But we still have to set a time.
Betsy has a
Well, it'll
time.
get put on the agenda accordingly.
We'll schedule a time when it gets a little closer. I'll let
Okay.
Mr. Brown know.
Yeah, just let me know, that's fine.
But slate it as for about 8 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know, Ray, that he was gonna do something granite.
Yes.
Only, you're talking the backside, then, the fire up.
No, he's not planning on doing granite. He already has the granite installed. He needs to basically patch in from where the Cape Cod berm ends and where the granite begins.
Patch in what?
That'll be the discussion.
Cape Cod berm.
That'll be
Yeah,
the
that's part of the
discussion.
discussion.
That'll be the discussion.
Well, it has to be higher than the Cape Cod berm. I think that's what the problem is.
You'd have to see it, Steve. I mean, it's hard to describe here. You really should see it.
I just washed my car over there yesterday. I wish I knew.
There was a time when the transition curbs on either side of the throat stone leading up to the catch basin were not in place. So the water was being directed to that and just simply going over. I went out there quite a while ago now and looked at it, but at that point, when I was out there, the transition curbs had been installed, but it doesn't have a seamless interface. The Cape Cod berm just needs to be extended up to that, so.
Or does the granite have to be extended down to the... John seems to be of the opinion that it requires a little more granite instead of Cape Cod berm. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Well, when you place a Cape Cod berm over existing second coat of pavement and you hit it with a plow, it
Right,
just
right,
comes
yeah.
out. So we'll be back here again in the spring.
I think we're missing the point, and I hate to keep going deeper into this, but we're missing the point that we're talking about 2 feet of Cape Cod berm. We're not talking hundreds of feet or several feet. We're not even talking several feet here. It's a small patch that needs to be
Well,
done.
there's apples and oranges here. Ray is correct, a small piece
That opening,
needs
talking
to be
about the opening.
installed to close the opening.
Right.
But what Mr. Weddleton is discussing and potentially recommending is to replace the entirety of the Cape Cod berm on that side of the site. And that's a distance from memory of a couple hundred feet.
What happens if the plow gets the next 10
It's about
feet of
50
Cape
feet.
Cod berm and makes the 2 foot 12 foot? I mean, if the plow's gonna hit it in one direction, it's not to say the plow will hit the whole line of Cape Cod berm all the way to the basin. So now you got leakage all the way down. The only one that's gonna make that permanent is to have a permanent structure there to divert the water down.
The granite curb would be more durable.
We really need to postpone this until the 28th when the owner is here.
All right, I think we've got it pretty well established how we're going to approach it.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're moving on to MacArthur Ave.
Have a good night, everyone.
Okay,
Yep,
good night.
you too.
Thank you very much.
Continue.
Oh, there is a request to continue. Oh, to when?
Well, next meeting, I guess.
Did they ask?
Go to our next meeting.
All right, and we'll do that for 8:15? Is this a hearing, or is this just?
Yeah, it's a hearing.
Oh, okay, so I'll make a motion to continue the MacArthur Ave hearing to October 28th at 8:15.
Do we have the request for continuation in writing with risk of constructive approval?
I know.
No, but I can get one.
Yeah, he needs to give something in writing to be compatible with the extension the board.
Should also give a reason too, which stops these things from being continued for no reason forever.
Okay.
And it needs to be filed with the town clerk, along with a copy of the board's vote.
Okay.
And hopefully we're not over 90 or 135 days now.
What is it, 135?
Depends, did they file a
No
preliminary?
preliminary.
No preliminary,
So-
then it's 135.
So it's 135
Yeah.
days?
All right. So I made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Has to be filed.
135 days,
Yes.
Yes.
even though it's,
Let me guess. Sandy Knoll Estates. That's
You
what
need
you're
to
here
formalize
for,
that.
right?
File it with the town clerk. And if we're over 135 days, we're cooked.
Yeah. Well, that's just business. And he's just requesting us to release lots. But you know what's going to happen. We're not going to release lots unless everything's done that we want to have done.
it's for extension.
Without saying when it expires.
He has to have a new
Till
earth
whenever.
removal permit
After.
for each lot. So that's what has to happen. So we have to have a hearing for each one of his lots, for him to remove all the soil that's on there, or move it around.
You know, at the next time we give an earth removal permit, you can, if we don't release the lots, you can put some criteria in there, such as that no occupancy is issued until the earth removal is
If we don't
complete.
release the lots, he can't do the work.
Right.
So,
You want him to remove it all before the work's before the lot's
That-
released.
That's the work, is the lots, that everything is on the lot, so he has to have a lot release before he can go in there
So you
and
want
do
to remove
anything.
all the dirt before he even releases the lot.
No, we'll have the hearing.
You just want to grant him the permit.
We'll grant him the permit,
That's
and
what I
then we'll
mean.
release the lots.
That's
For
what-
him to do the
That's
work.
what I was saying, yes. But we could put something in that earth removal permit that says that,
It has to be done within X number
oh,
of
there's
days.
no certificate of occupancy issued on the lots until the earth removal for that lot, there's gonna be 5 different permits, is all complied with. And he gets forced to do it. Other than that, there's no way to force him to do it if he's got an occupancy.
Right.
Are we allowed to do that?
I think so. Yeah.
We can also give him a shortened time frame for each lot.
He should, anyway.
Not gonna get one of those open-ended, one-year ones.
No, no,
God,
no.
Not at this
It
point.
can't be he moves the dirt as he sells it, because that's a different operation. That's commercial. So,
All right,
So we have nothing to,
sure.
Basically, it's just really protect my own piece of property and be able to enjoy it. You know, meaning go outside and go. My name's Paul Butters from Kingsbury Road, but protect my own property, and I sent a letter back in August. There was a whole week, I just happened to take off. I took vacation to work on my house, and every single day was just nonstop from 7 o'clock in the morning to 3, and then it went into Saturday. I couldn't tell whether they're in Franklin or Norfolk, but I don't care. I can see it right in my backyard. I mean, this is just, it goes on and on and on, and I couldn't even enjoy the use of my own piece of property without all this racket and dust and noise and just nonstop. And this has been going on for years now. So, and I did go to the police department on Saturday of that week and filed a noise complaint because it was on Saturday morning also. The owner said, if you get a problem, don't come out here and try to talk to us, go file a complaint with the police department, so I did. It's just never ending. So, whatever.
Did the policeman address the issue for you?
I said that I was there just to be on record. Why should the police department really have to be policing this? I mean, I think they get better things to do than having me going and chasing. And that whole parcel of land is barricaded at both ends. You can't get in from either end. That road that's in Norfolk, they couldn't even access it. They'd have to go all the way around through Franklin to even see what was going on up there. So I said, if you want to go, fine. If not, you're not going to be able to see anything. It's just, it's barricaded in.
speaking of that, is he allowed to barricade public access to that road, even though it's not bonded? So town people cannot inspect it. What you have is you have people turning around in the middle of Miller Street because there's a blockade there. So when I went up once to look to see if there was activity, you can't get up there. But well, that's a connect through to Franklin. Do we have the right to keep that open for town vehicles or the public?
it's not a town road.
Well, there may be an issue on the Franklin side as to what they presumed of the basis of their decision, because that side's built out.
Right.
So that may be.
We
an
don't
issue
care
for
about that.
them.
We care about accessing from our side.
I have never encountered a situation where an applicant has barricaded the street like that.
So
I didn't know it was
If
barricaded.
the
Yes,
DPW,
both ends.
if the DPW want to go back and check whatever activity going there, they have to park their car on the main street, which you really can't. It's Myrtle Street, it's a busy short street, and walk up
How is it, what is it barricaded with?
with
Jersey barriers?
cement Jersey
Yeah.
barriers, yeah.
And it's right at the edge, it's
Right at
not,
the-
it's not far enough that you could pull in a car
There's
onto it?
barely enough room to turn around. Yeah,
Well, we could require access for emergency vehicles if they needed to get in there.
Which would mean a
Right.
different kind, if you wanted to continue to barricade, it would be a different kind of barrier, one that they could move.
Yeah, I don't care if they barricade it, if it's not a public road. I don't care if it's barricaded, just as long as it's barricaded in such a way that there's a chain with a lock on it that they can open.
Well, from a pure safety point of view, whatever barricade exists should be set back
Back more.
25 to 30 feet, so you can
correct.
pull a vehicle off the main street.
That's correct.
Just, if you look at if you look at a gate going into a factory, they're always set back so that you can do your transactions off the street. So you need to have the first obstruction set substantially back from the street. Beyond that, can you mandate it to be open? I don't know what its status is.
He's got a filing before this board. We have right to access that property anytime we want.
And I think that's a standard condition.
It is,
says that.
it is. And the conservation the same way, and this goes for all the all the town departments. So, right now, it's not accessible. I think we have the right to make them, take the blockade down.
Betsy, could you draft something for that? Or Gino, you'd probably be better at drafting something like that and just send it to Betsy and she can distribute it to us and we can
Something
approve it.
that would be a letter to the developer.
The
that-
developer, yeah. Because, he's probably got his barrier in the town's right-of-way for Myrtle Street.
The fact of the matter is, the Franklin lots that abut Norfolk probably have a dead-end situation where they're probably using those back Franklin lots, using the egress into our town as the second way out. So it's probably a part of the Franklin subdivision approval process, too.
I bet it is.
I bet it is, too.
You get these problems when you have a lot divided or a subdivision divided among towns.
Yes.
Because one side's approval presumes
Right.
that the other half of the plan is going to be executed. And
Right.
sometimes it's
Well, that depends on the developer.
You may want to send a copy of this letter to the Franklin Planning Board, too, saying that there's no access through here, we're requesting it, and just let them know that there's no way out on this side.
Just, from an emergency standpoint.
Exactly. Yeah, other than that, they wouldn't know,
Yeah, if no one over there's been complaining about the barrier being up.
unless they have unlimited number of homes on one entrance in, then they're counting that access for all of those back lots. They have to be.
I don't want to speak for the owner, but I think part of the reason, one of the barricades was people going up in there dumping stuff, debris, and those couches and all sorts of stuff that's being dumped into no man's land, so that might have been why he initially put it across the Miller Street, but now the other end was,
Yeah.
which
All
is
kinds
his
of-
property, I guess, but
Right.
it just seems odd that there's stuff going on.
Isn't that
That's why there's
strange?
Area 51 is, the stuff happening.
Every time there's a subdivision being worked on, people take advantage and dump stuff there. It's like, why didn't you dump stuff when it was the woods?
They do that too, though.
Last year alone, I've had a full living room set, I've had 2 toilets, I've had gas grills, I've had gym equipment, I've had framed pictures, potted plants, right
Where were they putting all this
in the middle of
stuff?
the street.
Oh, geez, I'll have to remember that. I got a whole bunch of stuff to get rid of.
You can have a yard sale, John.
Yeah, you can outfit the whole house.
Mattresses.
Yeah, the whole house could be.
Yeah.
I know, build a house.
I have
with all
a
the
basement
stuff.
I have to clean out.
So I see the point, but it's a part of
Yeah.
every time you develop roadway that, you've got people that dump.
All right, thanks a lot.
Will that be on the website or whatever at some point?
It'll show up under the business section, old and new business.
Some point in the next month or so?
Most likely, yeah. Well, we don't meet again for over a month.
We'll be able to sleep tonight.
Yeah. Okay, Sandy Knoll Estates 2.
So we can't take any action on it, right?
Right,
Right.
because we're not releasing the lots. You can let him know we're not releasing the lots until after he has his hearings. Oh, wait a minute, no. We'll release them right before we have the hearings, right? We have to have the lots existing before we can have the hearings. Right?
I don't think you need to release the lots to allow gravel
I don't either.
removal.
I don't
The
either.
lots already exist. You've got a plan that's
Well,
already been recorded.
No,
The-
they've
the
had
covenant-
problems with the building inspector, with people going in and doing work on land that does not have a lot release.
That's changed. Remember I wrote that bylaw 2 years ago?
But, yeah, but
It's changed.
what's it changed to?
You can go in and clear a lot, you can excavate a lot, you can blast, you can remove anything, as long as within 90 days after you do that, you either apply for building permit or lumen seed what's left. As long as you don't take down trees in the setback areas.
Take down trees in the setback areas.
That's correct.
So he's asking for a lot release
Right.
so that he can get a building permit. And what I think John is saying, correct me if I'm
He
wrong,
doesn't
John,
need it.
is that he needs to get the gravel permit at the same time as this lot release. And one does not have to precede the other.
No, it
But they
doesn't.
do need to be together.
That's right.
Oh, you're saying they have to be together?
Yes. But one does not have to precede the other. Because the
Well, I
lots
was
al-
thinking that
lots
we
already
not,
exist.
that we just don't release anything until he's ready to clear the lots.
He's got to clear the lots though to remove the gravel.
Right.
These lots are clear. There's nothing but
Oh, there's
gravel.
plenty of, oh, no, there's also to fill, remember all those big
Yeah,
deep
but,
gullies and
Is
everything?
that
They have
what you
to
mean
take.
by clear the lot? I thought you meant cut trees.
There's no
You mean
trees.
like-
They'll have to,
you mean
they'll
grade
have
the
to
lot.
take, well, they'll have to grade it, yeah, so
Great,
they,
but not clear, it's clear.
Right, it's a gravel operation
Yeah,
at
there's
that
no-
point.
there's no trees
no
left.
clearing.
A lot of the material has to be removed before he does building on a lot of the lots anyway. So the nice thing about having the two permits in unison, he has the opportunity to start his construction as he's removing the material he needs. And that way we could cross-connect the two permits so that we make sure the gravel gets removed on time.
This has been going on so long, the trees could have grown there.
A 30-year-old tree.
some of those piles of dirt have big trees growing out of
They
them.
do.
Yeah.
All right, so we know what we're doing with that one. Uniform street numbering system, okay. That's on the 28th.
Yeah, that was caused, as I recall, by a situation where someone went in and, with a development and numbered in such a way that they weren't consecutive.
Right.
And so the
You know,
public
you
safety
find the
people had
where-
a trouble finding the particular lot that they were looking for.
Yeah, it was either Pin Oaks or River's Edge.
It was actually between Pin Oaks and River's Edge where they meet up. What
Then it
happened
got-
with River's Edge, it kind of went zigzag,
Yeah.
but it didn't follow a pattern. So you actually had 53 down here, and then you had up here, you had 58
Yeah.
at the beginning of the street,
Yeah.
because it didn't follow a consecutive
Right.
pattern. So it was it's confusing for the fire and rescue folks who have to respond to, where's 58? I was just at 53. How come it's not
But-
in this area?
We don't number those inside those privately owned roads, do we?
Oh, we do.
We
Have to For
do?
the fire.
Yes.
I don't remember you numbering the ones for,
That was pre-me.
oh, okay. I didn't think that we numbered the ones inside those developments.
But where it became a real issue was where the two subdivisions met, and there was a little stub of road from Pin Oak. There were 3 lots that, or houses, that have a number system that doesn't even correspond to the rest of the road. That's at River's Edge. So that's sort of what precipitated all of this, is to come up with a system that you look at all the roads around you and then decide how this whole thing's gonna work out. So essentially, in the ordinance, it says you start with your even numbers on the left and your odd numbers on the right. It's going to follow suit all the way down. And then if you have another road change name, it's going to start again at on a different road. That way, it's a uniform system, and it's based on spaces rather than just coming up with numbers.
Although those two roads have the same name, don't they?
Wildwood.
They're both Wildwood. So that's where the confusion came in, is because they both had the same name with a different set of numbers. Maybe we should just renumber them now. Now that we know there's an issue.
Well, you'd get some kickback from that.
You get some kickback, but, like, over time, it's probably the best thing to
We
do.
can furnish you a number for any questions.
It's no small project.
It isn't?
No.
It's how many?
Over 100 people or homes that you're going to rename.
I thought the issue was only up, because it's all numbered up until you get to Pin Oaks, and that's where it gets messed up.
I'd have to show you on the plan
Oh,
as to how it works.
geez.
It's not a simple.
Have
But that
155
would
and
be a
older
start,
folks be
though.
running their mail and packages.
I think the town has no jurisdiction over Pin Oaks. That would have to be voluntary or some kind of separate ordinance.
Yeah, that's
or
true, that's
something.
true. That's why I thought we didn't number them in the first place. It's because,
Well, if you put the policy in place, now you've got jurisdiction over any numbering that happens.
Yeah.
And that's what it does, is it
That's
gives us
true.
other
That's
jurisdiction.
why we should put it in place, yeah.
so we get it in place, and then,
Right.
because, yeah, I didn't think that we did that. Learn something new every day. Did you number any of these places that are developments that aren't subdivisions?
That aren't subdivisions?
Right. I guess not.
You've only been around 17 years, you really
Yeah,
can't pick up everything.
Pine Street Medical Center.
Oh. What's the address of that building?
31.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I mean, that faces on the street. I don't
Right,
know.
yeah, that was a joke.
I knew that.
I don't think there have been any since I've been here.
Oh, okay. Okay, so, you know, public zoning articles, we did that. Economic Development Committee.
We talked about that
Oh,
last time,
oh,
didn't we?
oh. Is
I
there,
think we have 3 vacancies, if anybody is looking to join our economic development
well,
committee.
Bob is not on it anymore, or,
No, Bob is still on it. He's one,
Bob and,
Anne Marie, isn't it?
could be Anne Marie.
Yeah. I
That's
guess
it?
That's it.
That might be it.
I think Lori resigned. That is a committee that, whether fully formed or partially formed, could use a heck of a lot more direction from this board and from the Board of Selectmen, because it's a group of people who are willing to do some work, but they don't know what the hell to do. So they come up with their own ideas and bring them here forward, and they get squashed or whatever. So, you know, if the planning board said, we need this group to go and do X, you know, to raise direction or whatever, they'd gladly go do it. whatever.
well, what we used to do is we used to schedule a planning meeting
Yeah,
so that we could sit and just do planning and not have any hearings.
right.
If anyone wants to institute that, where we meet once a month to do all that background stuff, because we have a lot of stuff in zoning to look at and everything else that we really should be taking a look at every now and then. Have you been looking at that, by the way?
Zoning or?
Well,
economic
yeah, because
development, or all these different issues.
Well, I know that there's a lot of issues, but it's specifically zoning. You were supposed to look at a lot of zoning, right?
I've been looking at a lot of zoning.
Are there a lot of things in there that you want us to take a look at?
Not yet,
No, not yet. It's baby steps right now, huh?
absolutely.
All right. Schedule the next meeting, okay.
We did that.
Town meeting, I'm going to remind you, town meeting's November 18th and 19th. Oh, discuss the consultant contracts due to expire September 30th. Good God.
Steve, if I can jump in on that. I did
Yes.
a little bit of research as to where we stood with our consulting contracts. We've been extending the consulting contracts for a number of years now.
Well, it's not really a lot of years, is it? It's like 2 years, right?
It's been at least a couple of years.
Yeah.
By our state laws, we really should be doing an RFP.
Every year, every time they expire?
When they expire, yeah. Yeah, we're supposed to, we shouldn't be extending the contract unless there's a dire reason why we're extending the contract. There's actually been some new guidebooks issued by the state that explain how the process works. So the next thing after that is review and discuss an RFP for the consulting contract. And I believe a couple of years ago, the planning board put something together, and that's what I've put on the agenda for the planning board to take a look at, decide what you want to do.
Did you have an email with that in it?
Walter gave some nice feedback because Ray sent out
That's
some
right.
examples.
Yeah.
And we had asked Ray a couple of things. One was to kind of look into that, the history and good practices. We had also asked, though, to look at potentially bidding it in a different kind of way, where we're just looking at hourly rates and kind of comparing their hourly rates to what some other town fee structures are, so that if we could kind of prove through that, you know, I think we were talking a little bit about the intellectual knowledge that we've gained and the nice cross-reference there is, because some of our consultants sit on other boards, and that helps us a lot as well. And so if there was another way that we could do a market check to make sure their rates and fees are in that market range, would that be another acceptable means? But I kind of read from your email that probably not, so that it wanted to be more of a full-fledged RFP process.
Yeah, that's what I took from the state guidance, was that we really should be going through a full-fledged RFP process. Now, in doing that, that doesn't mean that you cannot, you know, look at the, weighing the RFPs and decide what seems to work best for Norfolk. It doesn't necessarily have to be based on price and, you know, dollar for dollar match.
Right.
It can be what works also for the town.
So you reviewed our old RFPs. They are usable, right? They just have to be changed a little bit?
Yes.
Walter had some nice comments to it. Thank you for providing those.
I do remember seeing something about Walter responding. I'm sorry, I didn't read it. I
You've
was,
been a little busy.
yeah,
A
well,
little preoccupied.
That was a month ago or so, wasn't it? Yeah.
Maybe a couple weeks, few weeks.
Yeah.
oh, it was more than 3 weeks.
Was it?
Yeah,
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 so-
definitely more than
Time
3
flies
weeks.
when you're having fun.
Let me see,
So,
So-
given Walter's comments, do we feel like we're at a point we should float them out there, or
Ray, she's raising a good question.
Sorry.
are we ready, given Walter's comments, to float the RFPs out on the street, put it out on the street?
well, we have to go over and do a final draft on them. So,
Why don't I get it back to you? I apologize. I thought that I had given it to Betsy to put on the agenda for tonight, so
Oh.
my apologies.
Did you incorporate any of Walter's comments into the
Yes.
RFP? Good.
Yes, I did.
I remember your email, because anytime I get a long email on my 3G network, it takes like minutes to download.
Minutes.
So I remember all of the long emails.
What do you have, 2 tin cans and a string? Is that what you got?
Somewhat
Like that, yeah.
Sure it's not 2G?
yeah.
Don't have it.
2 cans, right? Yeah.
So we could go over that at our next meeting, right, on the 28th? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's very much piling up on the 28th as of yet. Okay. The 8/26/14 meeting minutes.
Sorry, Steve, you weren't here.
Mr.
I wasn't
Chairman,
here.
The current extension goes through the end of September, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
12
or a
days.
couple weeks
So we'll have
away
to
from it ending. So if
extend
you
that.
extend it
You
again.
know, One of
Should extend it.
the requirements, as I recall in the RFP, was the extension should be for a year, wasn't it, or was it 6 months? But we've been doing it in chunks of 3 months, which was different than what the RFP said. Is
Now
it?
that you mention
Not that
it.
we can't do what we want, but that
No, you
was one of
can't.
the,
Actually, there's state guidance that tells you can't.
You
just
can't do
what
what you want.
well, that's
And-
why I'm bringing it up.
yeah.
Well, we haven't got the new guidelines. That's probably why we're dated here.
My suggestion would be this: if you're going to extend it, I would extend it to the end of the year, and then
Definitely.
that will give you
Yes,
definitely.
plenty of time to let's get the work done that we need to get done.
Does anyone have an issue with extending it to the end of the year?
No?
Which year?
Does somebody want to make a motion on this? You want to make a motion on that?
I move to extend, do we have to do them separately? or can we-
Separately, yeah.
Okay. PSC's consultant contract until January 1st, 2016.
Second?
15, sorry.
Yeah, 15. Yeah,
Second.
second. All those in favor? Aye.
And extend, make a motion to extend, do you know what's your company's
PGC. I had the initials first.
It's PSC.
name? GC's consultant contract until January 1st, 2015.
Second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Good. That gives us a little time. Okay, do we have the minutes?
Yes.
It's
reviewed
gonna
the-
be one of the requirements of the RFP that your company name has to start in P and end in C.
Yeah.
There might be some state guidance on that.
You were about to say, sir, about these
I
minutes?
review the minutes and I see no corrections on my
Okay.
behalf.
All right.
Okay,
So I would,
so you're making a motion to accept the minutes as written?
yes, I am.
Okay, is there a second on that?
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Vouchers? No vouchers circulating? What's the matter, we're moving too fast for you?
Used to this. Walter, I'll start with you.
Correspondence, do we have any correspondence?
I don't think I have anything for you.
Anything in here?
Oh, and I forgot the read file. That's okay. It's not that good anyway.
Well, that's, John can't wait to get a hold of that.
What's that?
The reading file.
Oh, yeah.
I just got Betsy's email from preliminary review for Winding Hollow.
Sorry, I've been having some serious computer issues, so
Told you my
Oh.
phone was slow.
I did.
No, I didn't get
forwarded
it.
to you guys.
DPW comments.
I haven't been able to print or email anything, so it's been a tough couple of days.
Email is up to date, so where is it? Oh, I'm getting the Tax Act emails.
Really?
Yeah, Tax Act Online.
Oh.
July 29th minutes for your signature, John?
I don't see anything here.
What's that?
Any other new business? I didn't get an email from you.
From me?
Yeah.
I saw
I sent it to the group.
Oh, that's right. It would be in my other email
Oh.
account. It wouldn't be in this one.
Oh.
Now I have 3 emails.
Oh.
I opened a Gmail account, so now I have Hotmail, Gmail, and my
You know,
one
they
at
can all
work.
come to your phone number.
Yeah, I know. So there's no other new business, right?
I don't have anything.
So we're all done. And do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
You are
Last end of the Roosevelt.